wanted to check in with folks to talk specifically about something that in my conversations with parents, I'm noticing is getting in the way for parents, and that has to do with a really common thinking mistake that parents make, especially this time of year, as parents start noticing that maybe things aren't going as smoothly as they'd like things to be going with their teen. And as that starts to develop, parents start making some assumptions about what these signals all mean. And with that then often comes an escalation in emotion, in dysregulated behavior, in tension between parent and teen, and generally a sense in the parent of feeling like they've failed somehow. So I wanted to give you guys kind of a home base that you can locate yourself in the midst of that emotional storm, especially these days, early mid-September, and we're looking at the first quarter and how are the grades shaping up and all of that kind of stuff, right? So, but before I jump to that, for those who don't know me, my name is Jenny Wong. I'm with Project Parent. I am on a mission to help support parents of teens because there just simply isn't enough support out there for parents of teens during this really critical time. I am a psychologist and parent coach. I've been doing this for over 20 years, and so it's really my honor to be able to be out here in this space providing some information and just at least at minimum validation that you're not alone, that people struggle, I struggle, that it is a struggle for most parents of teens. So if this is your first time here, welcome. Feel free to join, follow me, all of those kinds of things. All right, so one of the biggest thinking mistakes that parents are inclined to make is that of catastrophic thinking. So the first missed assignment, the failure to do chores, it typically has to do with the academics though. What it can do is it can trigger for a lot of parents past memories of other times in previous years when things were really bad. And what this unfortunately does is it sets up a dynamic where the teen is kind of fighting an undertow of history, and feeling it through the emotions and the intensity of emotions and worry of their parent. What this looks like on the pragmatic front is the teen looking at you like, it's not that big a deal, bruh, what's the big deal? And you're like, wow, are you kidding me? And parents then start to get even more agitated. If you can remember that you're going to have the most options if you can position yourself in neutrality. Understand something. So let me give you a way to even think of failure in terms of from a neutral, objective perspective. Because a lot of times people are like, failure is this catastrophic thing. It means you're a loser. It means it. No, in the context of academics, what failure means is that material has not been learned. Learning has not been demonstrated, and it tends to mean that a student is at the beginning of a learning cycle. That's what that means. An F means that they're at the beginning of a learning cycle during a time at which the school would like them to be at the end of that learning cycle. This doesn't say anything about who they're going to be as a student, who they will be as an adult. This just tells you where you are today. Now, the value of you being able to at least just take 2 minutes to ground yourself in the present moment buys you taking the temperature down on your own feelings. The more you are able to take the temperature down on your feelings, the more able you'll be to problem solve, effectively communicate with your teen, and work with your teen to get to a solution, and to actually not inadvertently end up contributing and escalating your teen's emotion dysregulation and whatever other mental health issues might be in play. This catastrophic thinking error often signals to a teen that their parents don't believe in them, that they don't see them, that they don't get the big picture, that they're making a big deal out of nothing. At least some will say that up front, and underneath maybe this other subtext of like, oh God, maybe they're right. And keep in mind, our teens are busy building a sense of identity. And they're always learning. There is no aspect of your teenager's life, even if they're sitting behind a screen playing a video game, there is no aspect of your teenager's life where they aren't learning something. So the question is, where do you want to position yourself in their learning? What often throws parents off guard is when they realize their teen doesn't seem to be getting something that seems so obvious. Understand, one of the biggest lessons our teens are learning is how to delay gratification, how to have impulse control during a time when physiologically their brain has now developed the full-size capacity to feel maximum reward and gratification from the decisions and choices they make. So when they were 8, 9, almost more trustworthy because they were less able to be distracted, because they were less able themselves to feel rewarded by the things that they would do. So it's not that our kids were really good and then all of a sudden they get hormonal and now they're just assholes. They're working with a larger set of emotions that they need help working with, and figuring out how to move through a world that is asking for more of them is now taking away this element of like everyone wins because you're a participant, and really starts to bear out that there's competition. How do you work through all of those things while building this sense of identity? So the role that parents then play in it isn't that straightforward thing that I think a lot of Gen Xers and millennials imagined of. It would be really simple. They would just come to us and we would help them. The thing is, part of their first way of developing a sense of who they are is by identifying who they are not. And lucky us, we are the first prototype of who they are not. As such, we're not the first ones they're naturally going to be prone to come and ask for help. Where we come into play is in our unwavering acceptance of their process of learning who they are, of getting it wrong a lot of times, of aiming high, of trying and maybe falling short, of doing all those messy things, and for us to hold firmly that we know nothing is getting lost in that process, that if we can help them effectively, that every aspect, even negative experiences, can be an element of learning, that their adolescence is not about delivering them perfection. It is about initiating them into an adult world that has a lot of problems. And we're looking to them to help contribute to the solutions. That's a tall order. So keep in mind, this isn't just, good grade today, good grade tomorrow. If they don't get a good grade today, that means everything is lost. No, our role as parents is to remember that growing up is a lifelong process, that our teens are still growing up and doing the hardest aspects, and frankly, doing aspects that as a society we haven't broadly known how to do, which is how to actively and effectively make use of your emotions as data and use that to then guide directed action. Societally, what we have learned in terms of emotions is that emotions are maybe good for women and children, but generally you need to suppress them or deny them. So, wow, a lot of us, for us to get comfortable helping our teens get comfortable with their feelings and learning how to accomplish all the things that they need to be able to do, we have to get comfortable with our own feelings. And if you're not, then that becomes this next kind of level of work that you as a parent have to do that just makes it exhausting. And so this just highlights why it is so important for parents of teens to have space like this, to be able to say, wow, this is really hard to do, because it is. So I challenge you this week, if you start to waver and go down a rabbit hole of catastrophic thinking, oh my God, this is the rest of the quarter, oh my God, this is the whole, first year, whatever you think, I want you to stop yourself and find a place of neutrality by just describing what you observe. Oh, but he's going to fail forever. No, we're not observing him failing forever. We are observing one behavior that we might not be in agreement with in that particular moment. That is what you observe. All of what you're afraid will fall out from that, that's not observed. That's your fear. That's what we're trying to control. There's plenty of fear in the world. We do not need to add to our teens' sense of fear and panic. Their road is going to be bumpy, and it's going to be messy. They're going to get a lot of things wrong. They're going to be disrespectful to us sometimes. Sometimes they will speak out of turn, forgetting who they are in relation to us. That doesn't make them bad people, and it doesn't make you failure as a parent. What this means is you have an adolescent human being who's growing up, and that this is a process. It is an act of emotional denial to just assume that if you did all the work the first half, then second half takes care of itself and the kids just need to follow instructions. That is 100% an artifact of Gen X and millennials' needs and the pressure we felt from baby boomers to deny the difficulty that emotional realities present. They just are difficult. Baby boomers pushed us to deny them. Our teens are calling us to a new challenge. And are we going to do to them what our parents did to us? Because that's not how we started with them. We started by equipping them with awareness that they have this thing called feelings. And then culturally, and everyone can make as much fun of it as they want, but everyone participated in it, this idea that everyone has at least some fundamental worth. Everyone got on board that pretty early, so we have a batch of teens who have been trained to believe that, at least in theory, they have value and that they have feelings. When we turn around and say to them, well, you know what, just suck it up, that's not helpful to them. They don't know how to do that. They're learning how to do that. The more we can have patience with them around it, the more they will actually work through it. The more we start pathologizing the fact that they're struggling with it, the lesson they take from that is that they're wrong for having feelings, which is absolutely the wrong thing, because guess what? Feelings serve an evolutionary purpose. Can you imagine if you didn't feel pain in your fingertips? What kind of problem that would create in your life? We do not want to create yet another generation of human beings who think that what you're supposed to do with emotions is ignore them, stuff them somewhere, only deal with them when it's convenient. That's not where we are. So, this is both, well, I see it as good news because we're building something new. So, find the neutrality. You don't have to get to like, woohoo, everything's going to be great. Get to a place of, we'll see. So if you hear yourself saying, oh my gosh, this is going to be awful, switch it, stop yourself, and force yourself, and you're going to fake it till you make it. Say, we will see what happens. At this point in time, we do not yet know. See how that changes your week, how that changes your interaction with your teen, how it changes your own mood. How does it affect your own feel around parenting and experiencing parenting, and just play with it and see. You might be surprised. All right, so I hope you have a great rest of the week. If you're interested in working with me, click on the link in my profile. I'd be happy to talk with you. Free 15-minute consult. All right, so have a great rest of the week.